Hey, what's up guys? This is Netta Went in Peace with Netta, and on today's video I am going to be talking about the power of your thoughts. So, your thoughts are energy. Our thoughts, our actions, and our emotions are all energy. We are energetic beings. We are spiritual beings having human experience. Yes, we are humans. Like I said, we're spiritual beings. We're multi-dimensional. There are different dimensions. This is the third dimension that we live on, this physical realm. Then there's the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, 6, 7 is about 12, probably infinite dimensions. But like I said, this is the third dimension, the physical plane. Now, we get to higher dimensions within our consciousness, our mind. And to get to that higher consciousness is also called Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, right? Buddha consciousness, because they reach that enlightenment. You know, the divine is enlightened, that awakening to see past the illusions that surround us. You know, things that really don't matter to this spiritual experience, because we all came here for a purpose. And that's to do things for our highest self, you know, for the highest good of ourselves and highest good of all, because we're all connected, even though we're all individual and have different paths. And we're all here to cultivate love and to do more than cultivate love, but to be love, because we came from love. And I guess, not even guess, but we need to stop trying to love and just love. And with that is loving ourselves unconditionally, and then we can give it to another person. But in this society that we live in today, it's like love has to be earned. You know, I may not agree with you. You may not like me. You may have done something to me in the past, but I will not hold hate in my heart for you, because hate kills you and hate kills your spirit. Okay? So a lot of people get stuck, and that was me as well, getting stuck in my thoughts because they were habitual. You know, it wasn't that I wasn't forgiving or anything. It was me being stuck on a thought, and it was building that momentum. And then, you know, having different situations that would trigger maybe a past situation, trauma, whatever. It doesn't always have to be traumatic, but just anything in your life. But it happened again because what we expect, whether we want it or not, we will get if we focus on it. Where our attention goes, energy flows, and it will manifest if you build up that momentum enough. If it becomes that running train, it will manifest into your life. So, you know, a lot of people feel like the law of attraction, or, you know, it don't work, or the whole secret. Well, because the way that you think, yes, it starts with your thoughts and that vision, and you being able to see that. But it also is aligned action, and you actually believing in yourself. Because if you subconsciously think that it won't happen, and you don't believe it, and you don't feel it, then it's not going to happen. So I remember about a year and a half ago, I was like, okay, so I'm going to make a YouTube channel and all this other stuff, and I'm going to have my podcast and have my coaching business, blah, 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 whatever. And things did happen. But there was like thoughts creeping up, and challenges was coming, like things were just being thrown at me, and I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, nah. Like, you know, I'm all about the perseverance and the resilience, but when I tell you it felt like somebody was sucker punching me in my face, you know, I was just like, okay, this is feeling, I'm getting triggered, you know. But then I had to realize I wasn't even being present because I was being so triggered that I didn't even realize I was being triggered, and that I had these habitual thoughts that kept me in survival mode, in a lack mode, knowing what I knew. Like, your thoughts is very powerful. And I was testing myself. And I kept thinking this thought, and I was thinking about a person. And I was like, okay, if this person pops up, whether on a phone, in person, I see them on the internet, just whatever. And it happened. I actually seen the person, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was just like, I put energy into it. So I'm like, well, if I could do this, then I could do that in my business. Now, or just in life, period, you know, with the things that I need or I want and whatever I desire. But just do know that the universe got your back. Like, you will always have everything that you need. And a lot of times when we try to manifest things, we aren't ready for that desire. So your soul is not going to give you something that you're not ready for. Like, people be like, oh, I want $1 million. But where is that $1 million going? Do you have the different outlets? Where's your money going? Because money is energy. If you don't have the money, if you don't have anywhere for that money to flow, then where is it going? And people are like, oh, in my pocket, my bank account. Okay, but what are you going to do with it? Is it going to serve your highest good? Because you could get $1 million today, and by next week, it'd be gone. And what you gonna do? Manifest another? You understand? Or you may want a specific person in your life. That's why they say, be careful what you ask for. Is that for your highest good? All down with the manifesting, law of attraction, all that. But you really have to I would say break it down and ask, what is your values? Like, how much volume does that value hold space in your life? Like, why do you want the things that you want? Why do you think you want that $1 million? Is it covering up something within you that you need to work on? Because I used to manifest like that. But now I'm manifesting in a different way, and then I'm manifesting at a rapid rate because now I'm more aware of things. And you have to be present. You know, if you always trying to manifest things that you're lacking, that means you're too focused on the material and what you're lacking, and you're not seeing the beauty of what you have and being grateful and having that gratitude. Because we have everything we need. We just so caught up on the outside, we don't even realize that we have everything we need. And we need to accept where we are to make that change. And our ego will tell us something different and won't accept it and be like, no. Your ego will try to make you do something else. Your higher self is telling you, watch your thoughts. Where are you right now? Are you in alignment with your higher consciousness, with your higher self? Or are you operating at your lower self, your ego? You know, yes, we still have our ego, and even through ego death, your ego is being refined because you need your ego to live on this on this earthly realm, on this third dimension. But it does not rule you. It does not run you. Now you're operating from your higher self. Your higher self don't need your ego. So you're, like I said, it's being refined. So your thoughts, you have to be mindful and just think constructively and, know that your thoughts hold power and it holds energy. Just like our actions, whether we choose to act or not, that's still acting. And your emotions. That's why it's good to clear them out. I'm not saying don't express how you feel. If you're angry and you pissed off or you're sad, don't express that. But don't stay in it. And that also affects different layers of our body. We have 7 layers in our body. And some of those layers hold our chakras, which I will talk about in the next video. But, our chakras are energy centers. So if we're energetic beings having a human experience and everything is energy, and we have 7 main chakras and we're out of alignment, then that means them chakras need to be balanced. And they need to be rebalanced aligned, with the outside stressors. Especially if you're not really in tune with your body. So your thoughts, we have to change our thoughts. We have to change our thoughts about ourselves. We have to think highly of ourselves. And you don't have to earn or prove to the divine within you that you are worthy, because you are already worthy. We've been in this program like, we're really good and we follow these rules and these regulations, we'll get into heaven. That is a program. That is a program. Okay? The divine does not judge anyone. We judge each other and we judge ourselves. We judge ourselves, and that's how we judge each other. All these thoughts and these programs is just, So be careful what you program your mind with. Don't let anyone tell you that you aren't good enough. Don't tell yourself that. Don't tell nobody else that. Don't you tell your kids that. Because all of that projection is just nothing but a reflection of what you felt. And even if someone who raised you told you that, drop all of it. And it's something that you have to dig into and really do a whole lot of soul searching. And that's where we are in this point in time. And it's thick and it's heavy, and we have to face our stuff. Why do we think the thoughts that we do? And I had to constantly realize that I grew up in a fear-based household. I grew up in fear. I grew up in fear in a lack mentality, because no one really was living, being their true authentic selves. Nothing on the outside of you is as authentic as you within. So you have to know that within your mind. You have to align, yourself within, go home within. And we'll stop living from here. Not saying that we will never use our minds, but we will think from our hearts and open up our hearts, and we're just in that. Ask yourself, why do you think the way that you do? And know that what you expect, you will get. So just like this pandemic now, if you expect the worst, then you will get the worst. That's how we all live different lives. You know how some people just know that everything's going to be all right, even when things are on the outside. And people live better lives because they have this serenity, this flow, to where they know that, this is just some chaos that's going, get back into order, but this is just what's happening right now. But everything that I'm thinking, everything that I'm manifesting in my head, everything that I want, I'm going to get. It may not be exactly, actually it's going to be better, and it's going to be for my highest good. But if you have any inkling in your heart, in your mind, anything, any little speck of dust or dirt that tells you you can't or you won't, you need to reinforce a positive reinforcement, and understand that it will happen, but you need to consistently put a positive reinforcement. Because imagine going through your life 20-30 years of negative reinforcement, or just not knowing how to love yourself, not having any type of confidence, self-respect, don't have any form of self-value. Do you know how much that will take to actually dig that up, heal that stuff, and then move forward on your journey, and then try to figure out why you thinking like that, and then realize the program is not even yours, and you aren't even who you think you are? That's just a whole lie. That is just a whole lie. So it's going to take a whole lot of positive reinforcement. That's why it's good for you to read, books and just different things, not just self-help books. Read children's books. Children's books always have a morale to it. Read different autobiographies. Read up on people who have integrity and character, or just who share your values. Read different things, especially on your spiritual journey. You have to be open. Open your mind. Don't attach to anything. I learned that from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Be open to everything, but don't attach to nothing. Because things change, like I said in my other video. But things will consistently change. The only thing that won't ever change is that divine guidance, that power will always be limitless, and you are loved, and you will always be loved, and you will always be worthy, and you are limitless. That will never change. You can always get what you want. You can manifest anything as long as it's for your highest good and the highest good of others. Not only, you can manifest other stuff that you don't want, but it would be best for you to manifest for the highest good of yourself and the highest good of others, because you will have that inner peace, that inner balance. When you're not living up integrity and character, you got to ask yourself why. Those are thoughts in your head. Everything starts with that little seedling, that little seeding in your mind. If you coming from a place of pain, it's because something in your mind is telling you. It's that thought. If someone you're having a problem with giving love back, that's because you have a problem with loving yourself, and you have to ask yourself why. Because it's a fear there. There is fear-based thought. The power of thought will truly change your life. So let's change our thoughts, our actions, our emotions, our words. So that's the end of this video. I love y'all. And I can say when you get in those thoughts, ask yourself where you are, because most likely you're not present. Or even if you are present and those thoughts is coming through, and they consistently, start writing it down and see like where that came from. I do that. I journal about things that come up in my mind, and I'm like, where's this coming from? Am I being triggered? Or even if I'm not, maybe if I watch something like a movie or I hear a song, and then my mind is, no. Bring your mind present. You ain't got to reminisce. Because sometimes that means your mind is taking you on a journey. You have to, control that. You have to master that. Don't let your mind just let you go on some roller coaster and you be all the way in Africa somewhere and you living in New York. or you living in New York and you all the way in Europe somewhere. Your mind all the way in Europe, you know? So it's just like we have to master our minds, because then it will just be that monkey mind and you will become a slave to your mind. And that will get you stuck in that victim consciousness. And that's not going to really help on your spiritual journey. You know, that will stagnate you on your spiritual journey, because everything happens in perfect order and for a reason. But you have to know that everything's for the best. Like people who may get sick. There is a reason I say this, because I had gotten sick maybe about 5 years ago, to where I couldn't move, like my spine, like it was a hard time for me to walk and things like that. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I remember being at work and I was like, my skin was burning. It was just, I left work, but I remember how I used to feel when I was at that job. I hated that job. I hated that job. And I wasn't doing much about it to look for something else, because I didn't feel like I would find something that would pay me as much, or that I was even worthy to get paid or to do something else better. Or I was just so fearful to start my business and all this other stuff. And guess what? My body, my spirit, my soul was like, nah, you gonna learn today. Like, and I was out of work for like a month and a half. I could not go to work. And was I worried about money? Hell no. It was that bad, to where I wasn't worried about anything but recuperating myself. And we should always be like that. Of course, we have to take care of things financially, but that will just flow. When you're in the flow with you and with your spirit, everything else will flow. When you're chasing money and you're in your thoughts and, oh, money, no, your goal shouldn't be money. I used to be like that too. Like, okay, so I got to get this money. Even though deep down in my heart, I knew I wanted to do something more of a purpose, have more of a purpose, and I had a why, but my why wasn't big enough. But I didn't understand money. The money is energy. So if you keep chasing something, it's going to keep running. You know, so we've been so programmed, oh, go to work and do 40, 60, 70, 80 hours and you get this. And no, I do believe in putting in the effort, but you also got to work smart. And when it comes to the spiritual journey, you have to be, it's not outside in, it's inside out. And that's not what it's about. Like, this whole life is not about this. It's not about all that external stuff. There's plenty of great things, you know, things that were invented. And I'm not knocking anything material, but we have to be in alignment with our inner selves before we could go back out here and be living again. We have to live in a higher light, you know, and that starts with our consciousness, with the power of our thoughts. We have to know that there's more than this. I don't know. I've always, since I was a child, knew that it was more to life than this, because I always seen my life as a movie, and I never could understand it. I was just like, life is like a movie. It's like watching a movie, and you're the main character. I said that when I was about 4 years old. I was like, my life is like a movie. And it really is. This is your party. This is your reality. And where does all that come from? Within you and in your thoughts. So you have to observe them. Observe everything and become objective, and don't attach yourself to them, because you aren't your thoughts. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I will see y'all in the next one. I love y'all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.